on him. He kind of laughed. I said, I'm going to get $300 out of it, just like it is.
$300 and you take the scope off.
You want without the scope, still want 300, you take it off.
Well, when somebody buys something off me and starts throwing off on it, I just try to save them the trouble of owning it.
Right, there you go.
So what's going on, Bob? You gonna tell them who we are? Or let them guess?
Yeah. You're here in Lafayette, Tennessee, US of A. We're home of the very nimble, quick-footed, turnaround Barack Obama, and we're glad to be with you. We're in Lafayette, Tennessee, US of A. This is the Wild Bob and Ronnie show, and I am the good-looking one.
I caught a little bit of Rush Limbaugh today.
Did you
He's saying what I said.
What did he say?
He says he don't believe Assad's the one that lit the...
Well, he brought out the fact of what happened over in Bosnia, where the Muslims got us to come in and intercede on their behalf through a hoax, okay, misrepresentation, and of course it's not hard for anybody to lead Bill Clinton the wrong way.
Well, they had a problem with the Syrian rebels. They caught them with sarin gas back in June. Did you know that? They intercepted.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But here's my question. Is the United States, is our business to take care of the world or to take care of the United States? Now, we need Muammar Gaddafi back in Libya. He may have been mean to his people.
Absolutely.
He may have been mean to his people, but whenever we went over there and started wiping out old Saddam Hussein, Libya got right. They paid for the airplane they shot down, and they got rid of their chemical weapons. And he was a much better. He was a tyrant, but he was our tyrant.
And his nuclear potential is sitting right over here, less than 30 miles away in Oak Ridge, where he turned them over to him. Now, my question is, why did Barack Obama so suddenly become a constitutionalist? Now, it's far more perhaps imperative if the feeling that Assad has used chemical weapons on his own people, that we strike him than it was than if we struck Muammar Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they struck Muammar Gaddafi without any congressional approval.
Well, here's what's going on. He's turned it over to Congress. In case they turn it down, he's got an out. And in case they approve it and it goes bad, he's got an out.
Still got an out.
Yep. Well, I don't think we ought to be there. I think we ought to be watching out for...
No, what I would do, I really hope that they will do. I know it's bad for us to maybe say we're going to do something as a country and not do it. But you have a person in the Oval Office who really, in all honesty, probably does not represent half of the people of this country, in all honesty. Second, he is the one that drew this mythical line in the sand, okay? And as I mentioned before, he's like a kid in elementary school. And what they say, if you spit over my hand, boy, you're in trouble. Then it says, boy, if you spit over my hand again, you're going to really be in more trouble then. And nothing ever happens.
Well, he's done that. He's already done that.
He's nothing but
he shouldn't have done it to start with.
He's nothing but a two-bit. He wouldn't even make a good two-bit carny.
Well, he messed up a year ago. He should never have said that. And the other thing is, we got rid of Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, and we're just tickled to death to have his crowd back in and have him loose. And we'd be tickled to death to have Gaddafi back in Libya. And Assad, as bad as he is, he's stable. I mean, it's, you know, he ain't, if we just pull out and let him win this thing.
You ain't gonna move him without a whole lot of trouble.
No, and it ain't to our advantage for him to be gone anyway.
Right.
I mean, we're not going. Are we going to be better off if we just go over there right now and put a bullet between his eyes and wipe out his whole government? Would we be better off or not? And the answer is no.
I don't think so.
So I just think, you know, as long as we've got Al Qaeda and Assad fighting each other, what do we need in that for? Let them just encourage it's what we need to do.
What I would do if I were Boehner or if I were the Republicans in Congress, I would propose a resolution, which it probably wouldn't fly in the Senate because of Harry Reid, but I would propose a resolution that would say, look, buddy, this is your baby. We're not condoning and we're not rejecting what you do, but it's your baby and you handle it.
Well, I don't think we've got any business there, and I think that he'll get by with it by taking nothing. He's not to blame for anything. He's busy playing golf. But that's what
I put it squarely right back. I said, it's your baby. We're not going to pass a resolution condemning it. We're not going to pass a resolution approving it. We're going to pass a resolution that says this is your baby and you handle it.
Do you think maybe John McCain is senile?
Is what?
Senile.
Yeah, I think John McCain is way past his time. Okay?
I don't think.
And Lindsey Graham, they need to commit him somewhere.
Well, John McCain, I don't understand where he thinks he's going with his. I mean, he'd have been worse president than what we got. We could have stood 4 years of Obama better than we could have stood 4 years of McCain, I believe, because there wasn't neither one of them no count. 8 years, each one of them could be detrimental to the well-being of the world.
Yeah, well, the only thing probably wouldn't have had but 4 years of McCain, because the Republican constituents that would have put him in would have seen the light a little bit sooner than what Rush Obama calls the low information voters that put
Rush
Obama in.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We're in one hell of a mess. I know that. I had a discussion.
But you take, I'm going to go back and say it again. Maybe I can say it better this time. Obama and Hillary Clinton made the decision to assist Muammar Gaddafi in his exit from office. And they authorized, under the guise of it being a NATO action, under the guise of being a NATO action, the bombing of Gaddafi and the prevention from him using helicopters and airplanes, anything against the people that were fighting him. Now, they did that without any congressional involvement. Now, if they could do that in Libya, why could they not do that in Syria?
They could, but I told you, they don't want to. They want somebody else to take the blame.
I know, understand that, yeah.
And why in the world have we got representatives that would actually go out there and follow in that? I wouldn't do it.
I would not approve it.
There's a simple solution.
I think I'm going to call or email the Aflac Duck and we'll tell Lamar Alexander that I'm going to have all the animals in the forest pee on the trees if he doesn't do the same thing.
Well, here's what we need. Instead of going and voting against it, we need a bunch of representatives and senators pass. Just not vote. No, I don't have an opinion.
Abstain.
Yeah.
Abstain, yeah.
Let's see here. I saw something today.
And Chuck Hagel is the nearest nothing for a drunk Secretary of Defense I've ever seen.
right now, the Judge Report's been running a poll online, and the question is, do you think Congress should give Obama the authority to go to war in Syria? They have 8.2% yes, which represents 50,000 votes, and they have 91.38% no, which represents well over 500,000 votes.
All right.
So I know the people who read the Drudge Report tend to be more conservative, but I mean the conservatives are usually the ones that are willing to stand up for something like this.
Right.
This is by just far and away against any sort of U.S. involvement.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that too, even though I'm usually very, very nationalistic and very much for a proactive military presence on the part of our country, but not in this case.
I think that whenever they determined that Al-Qaeda was in Afghanistan, we should, I mean, they said you can't bomb them into the Stone Age because they ain't got that far yet. But we should have gone in there and just completely leveled anything that looked like it might have something to do with a terrorist training camp.
With Taliban.
Yeah, and what we should have done in Iraq, instead of going in there and it sounds good, but instead of going in there and freeing the people, we should have just said, you know, we don't like this guy, he's a threat, take him out and go to the house. Let him, I mean, we ain't no better off now than we would have been if we'd stayed.
Now you got Shiites who are closer again to the Iranians.
Well, we were losing the war after we defeated Hussein, and Bush put together some people that knew how to fight a war and won the thing, and then Obama's come in there and anything we might have gained from all that, he's give it back away, he's abandoned it.
Right.
It would be nice if we had another democratic, right-thinking government in the Middle East, but we can't impose that on the people. And Egypt was our best bet. It's been stable for 30 to 40 years, and whether we liked the thing there going on or not, it wasn't our place to go in there and get rid of a man. If the people didn't like him, then get rid of him. They didn't want what they got either.
Right.
They was tickled to death to get rid of him. The only stable force they've got in Egypt is the army.
Yeah, the army is fairly forward thinking. Most of them have been trained in this country, and they're a little bit better educated than the average man on the street. I'm not talking about just upper echelon, I'm talking about the entire army.
ABC News, ABC Washington Post has got a poll, 59% oppose the Syrian intervention, and the Pew research comes up with only 29% support. So that is why Obama is pulled out. Got nothing to do with principle, got nothing to do with constitutional government, has to do with cover his ass. That's all it is.
Right, that's all he's trying to do. And I would pass a resolution and say, this is your baby. You are the one that hatched it. Now you bring it to fruition however you want to. You conclude it however you want to. It's your baby. You're the commander-in-chief.
It says here Boehner supports Obama military action in Syria, and Cantor has jumped on board too.
Who?
Cantor, the guy that invented the twisty light bulbs.
Yeah.
The Republican that invented the twisty light bulbs.
Yeah.
He's the whip, the Republican whip.
Yeah, I know who you don't know what he looks like, yeah. And I thought it was Pee Wee Herman when I first saw him.
Yeah. And I still think that Ted Cruz is the illegitimate son of Ted Cruz. He's got to be the illegitimate son of Joe McCarthy.
Joe McCarthy.
They look too much alike.
Or it might be his legitimate son.
Well, could be. I'm not sure Cruz was born when McCarthy died. They may have had to freeze some sperm or something.
Right, that's right. And they could have wrote letters.
Boehner says, I appreciate the President reaching out to me and my colleagues in Congress over the last couple of weeks. I also appreciate the President asking Congress to support him in this action. This is something the United States as a country needs to do. I'm going to support the President's call for action. I believe my colleagues should support this call for action. We have enemies around the world that need to understand that we're not going to tolerate this type of behavior. I do not believe that Assad used the gas. I really don't.
Well, the story that I get, is that the area that was hit was either controlled or under the sway and the influence and under the sway or influence of the rebels, and that after this occurred, that it was, and they have ways to track this, the Syrian army that shelled it and bombed it to destroy as much of the evidence as they could. So I don't know. I don't have a belief. I'm trying to determine the facts of it, and even if it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Assad used chemicals against his people, that's 14 and 1,500 people that's been killed by gas, and there's in excess of 100,000 people have been killed by other means.
Well, two things. One is, it's not logical, and you don't find a lot of logic involved in war anyway sometimes, but it's not logical to me for Assad to have used gas. He was winning the war anyway. I think that the logic would be for...
What you doing, scratching?
I don't know what they're doing. I thought somebody wanting in. It would be to the advantage of the rebels to gas a few civilians and get us in there. That's the logic of the thing. The other thing is, it was awful for Bush to go into, according to some people, the worst thing in the world was Bush lied and people died whenever he went into... Yeah, but there ain't no question that Saddam Hussein used gas on his people.
Right, there's no question that they found the gas. There's no question that a lot of it was transferred to Syria.
Yes, sir. Same stuff.
Right. So, I agree with you a great deal.
Well, as sorry as Hussein was, and we know that he wasn't above using gas on his own people, when we invaded him the first time, they dared him to use gas, and he didn't. At least we never did admit that he did. And whenever we invaded him the second time, they warned him not to use gas, and if he did, we never admitted he did.
Right.
I'm not so sure that there wasn't little gas shot off around there, but I don't believe that it was ordered from above. If there's any gas in use in either one of them invasions, it was just a local decision. Some general said, well, I don't want to give up. I'm going to shoot a little gas over here.
Right.
But the point is, we had a deterrence. I agree with that. But it was a proven fact that Saddam Hussein had used gas, and the awful thing
he killed, I forget, 5,000 or 6,000 Kurds with it, yeah.
Well, yeah, and when they were fighting Iran, they were gassing both sides on that deal.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And that's.
But I just wonder, one thing that really troubles me. You know this guy that you see climbing up this icy hill to see this groove setting up there.
What?
This guy climbing this icy mountain.
Oh, yeah,
that groove setting there. I'm just wondering if we couldn't get Assad and the rebel leaders to go up there and ask that guru if he had ever heard of Wilson's gas.
You mean down there in the holler?
Right down there, in the middle of the road.
Well, that's good gas, though.
Yeah, I know that was it's not a whole lot of difference between being sane and being insane. And there's so very little difference between those guys that used to like to use gas if we could just get them to use Digger Wilson's gas.
562-5444 right in the middle of the road in Sawmill Holler if you want to get some gas of your own. It's time of year to start thinking about it.
It'd be almost like giving them a hit off a marijuana cigarette.
Well, I don't know.
They explode one of Wilson's gas cylinders over there, and everybody would want to quit fighting and go out and grill some steaks.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Digger may have a way to save the world.
Right, he may
What if he's ever had any chihuahua on a bun?
No, but if those two don't settle down, we might have to have some chihuahua over rice.
A little mustard and a bun's all you need.
Right.
Especially if that little blackin', he bit me. I bite him back.
Well.
Put him up on top of the house, them goats.
Huh?
Put him up on top of the house, them goats.
They don't mess with them goats too much, 'cause that old billy goat about the lard out of them. You know, they're a little too quick for the goats, but neither does elk. Elk don't mess with these because that goat has got elk up in the corner and butted her before.
My two, they have to fight all the time.
Right.
You know, if they get something to eat, then they got to go butt heads a time or two. I don't know how they keep them getting the eye poked out.
Oh, you know, that Billy tickled me. Back before it was mating season, he'd run deer. John would run deer plumb out of the feed trough. Now it's getting mating season, instead of running her out, he moves over, you know, so she'll have more to eat.
Well, tell them lies and feed them candy, you know.
There you go. But they're cute. They're good goats, and they were waiting for me as soon as I turned in the gate down there. They were up on the recliner. I mean, I got a metal recliner. That's what they get.
Mm-hmm. You get one of them there.
Yeah,
gliders.
One of those that swings. Yeah.
Yeah, them things worth money now, ain't they?
Huh?
Them things worth money now, ain't they?
I know they are. Yeah.
I'll have to steal that one sometime when you're down here.
You have to fight them goats to get
What
it.
they call them? What, another glider?
A glider.
No,
Yeah.
there's something, a platform glider or something.
Yeah.
Well, might well tell them about concrete too, since we done sold them gas. Let's tell them some concrete.
Wouldn't have to worry about marring up all that sand over there if they had some Dixie concrete over there.
562-5656 for concrete, made to a secret recipe that nobody else knows how to do.
I wonder if you put concrete boots on them camels, if they would mar up.
I don't know, but if you put concrete boots on them goats, they'd get off the top of your house and stay.
I guarantee you. They couldn't jump over the fence then, could they?
Dixie Concrete. If you need any concrete, they're the people to call.
Right. Hey, you need to do that. You know, I told you the other day, there was an article in one of the books that I subscribed to that showed you how to make your counter in your kitchen out of concrete. And they didn't even know about Dixie Concrete's formula when they come out with that article. So you could really put one and, you know, have it gray with streaks of blue in it, you know, and really be pretty.
I might want to concrete the top of my counter.
I wasn't thinking about doing the top of my head.
I don't think it'd stick. Do you?
And what, think it'd stick?
Yeah.
I might have to bore a hole in the top and put a bolt to it or something, you know. I hit my head going on that fence a while ago and knocked a chunk out, I think.
Knocked a chunk out of the fence?
Yeah, probably. It didn't hurt my head. But meanwhile, if they had had the number for Napa Auto Parts when Jimmy Carter tried to go across the desert and hit Iran, they could have called and got whatever parts they wanted for their.
They could have had parts delivered out there in the desert.
I guarantee you, see Randy in his little truckie just a bouncing out across there.
562-9406
Right.
if you need any parts.
Right across from IGA, they got good deals on whatever you want. I was up running around last night. The dog kept barking, so me and the little babies, we go on a little scouting operation out in the parking lot, but we didn't see nothing to shoot at, did we, baby? Wasn't nothing out there, was it?
I'm going to see that new gun you come up with.
You want me to drop it on the floor?
No. You got it with you?
Sure I do. Sure I do. What else I'm going to drop anything on the floor if I don't have it with me?
Well, we didn't have no congressman coming today. I didn't figure you brought your gun.
There's not one supposedly in the chamber, but don't ever trust that.
Ain't one thing wrong with it, Bob.
Why?
Couldn't keep my britches after this.
Well, I have a little trouble doing that too. Even though it's not really all that heavy to be.
How many does it shoot?
I think it shoots 9.
That's a pretty good gun.
It is that.
So it makes mine look bad. Makes mine look puny.
It tells the caliber on the other side over there.
Well, this ain't even my whole number. It's .357.
That ain't even an inch, is it?
No. Ain't even my half.
Less than half an inch. Well, what about that .220 I got?
Yeah, I'm still worried about a shotgun with a scope on it myself.
You seen that
No,
shotgun?
you told me about it. I tell you what, you know how far it is across that field there at my house? I shot a crow with 410 across there one time.
14 shoots like a rifle.
You know it's full choke?
Yeah, I know.
And I broke a crow's wing across that field with a 410.
Well, I had an old dog that kept getting in my chickens. And I said, well, I'll shoot him with this 410.
Yeah.
It won't hurt him as bad as that 12 I had.
Yeah.
Well, he was about as far from here up there to your big doors. Killed him dead. Killed him dead as a doornail.
Well, they got a long reach for a little old bitty gun. And you know, my daddy said he had a dog back before he ever got married. Said they had an old dog hanging around the house, and he didn't want to kill the dog, just wanted to run it off.
Right.
So he got this shotgun shell, 12-gauge shotgun, and he ranged it and took the pellets out and filled it back up with white beans.
Yeah, old pintos, either
Yeah. And navy beans, like them old
Yeah.
white beans. And he got out there and said he was looking for that dog, and said the dog come around the corner and he shot him right in the top of the head and blowed his brains out with them beans. Killed him deader than hell. Went to all that trouble and killed him anyway.
Well, that's about like what's going over in Syria. You know, they're arguing about how the people got killed. They're not even concerned about the fact in Rwanda last year there was over 1 million people hacked to death with a machete.
Yeah.
Not one machete, but with machetes. And they're not a bit more worried about that. And
No, it's like all that worrying about that case down there in Florida, and they had more people killed in Chicago in a weekend than they had killed in Florida in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And, you know, for people to go blaming guns for all this violence is about like blaming the rope if there's a Hank lynching.
Well, they need to ban cars and roads,
Yeah, they kill more people than anything.
and they need to ban pain pills too.
Pain pills and
even
cigarettes.
legitimately prescribed, because they
Pain
kill more
pills and
people.
cigarettes.
They kill more people.
Did I tell them on television what it cost me to treat my foot?
Yeah.
Did I?
No, not your foot.
No, my foot.
No, I don't reckon.
You know, I scalded my foot real bad. It was probably what?
It's a 4th or 5th degree burn, wasn't it?
It was a good 3rd degree burn, I guarantee you that. Well, I treated it myself. I kept it from getting infected, and I made sure it stayed aired out good and cleaned out good. And I treated that foot for less than $10, okay? And I'm going to show the folks.
Yeah, but it's on the wrong side. You've sewed it back on the wrong foot, wrong leg.
You can see there's
got a good tan there, didn't
there's
you?
not a scar on that foot. There's just a little bit of scab left right down there. But I treated that foot.
Got a good tan.
Yeah, no, well, that's got a better tan on top than the other one. But I treated that, I think, about $8 or $9, and I still got half of the bandages.
If we could have found some unguentine, that's all it would have
Well,
took.
that's all it would have taken. It would really have helped, because I'm familiar with unguentine. But the point I'm making, don't nobody know how to do anything anymore. If that had happened to one of these people who didn't work, had nothing to do but sit around and treat their foot, they would have run up at least a $14,000 to $20,000 bill on that foot. That's exactly what the insurance be paying out. And you wonder why our insurance is so high.
Well, insurance is high because they expected to pay for oil changes and everything, and it just don't do that.
Right, yeah. It's a maintenance contract rather than an insurance contract. And insurance policies should not be maintenance contracts, either on your house or on your body, and or on your automobile. And but that's what they expect, and you take I delivered a washing machine to a lady.
There's a woman down here looking for a hose.
Huh?
A woman down here looking for a overrun hose.
Today?
Yeah.
That's when I carried that one too.
I asked her if she had talked to you about it, and she said she hadn't.
Oh, I don't know who that was.
It was with the bonding company.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That was Naomi.
Is that the one?
Yeah, she's looking for a drainage hose.
Yeah, I told her on the one you had, you bummed off me, but I thought I had another.
Okay. If Naomi needs one, I need to get her one.
Well, I think I have.
I started to tell you on this lady that I delivered one to today, oh, that hose is too short. So I got that off you. That's the longest one I've seen in a long time. Well, I get down there, and the washer, the dryer and the washer will not sit side by side. They had to turn the washer around this way where the hose, where the hose was. No, the hose was way back over here, and it wasn't long enough to reach to the drain.
They're going to have to get have 2 hoses.
No, well, what I did, I went and got a insert, they just fit right in there, the two, and put 2 clamps on it, and I just made that longer, okay?
Well, that wasn't your problem, that's our problem.
That's what I was getting at. That wasn't my problem, but they had put too big a hot water heater in there. It's a housing project house. And without thinking, they put too big a hot water heater in there where you couldn't get the washing machine in there. But here I go, I have to go and take care of it anyhow. You have to do a lot of stuff you ain't supposed to anyhow,
Yeah, I know.
So I got that fixed. Now Naomi, I don't reckon you're watching, but I'll take care of you. I'll call you here in a little bit. Let's see.
It says here Curry was for putting ground troops into Syria before he was against putting ground troops into Syria.
Really?
Yeah, it says he refuses to rule out ground troops in Syria, then backtrack.
Well, Obama had suddenly become a constitutionalist, which I say I can't see that sudden turnaround. He hadn't followed the Constitution on anything he's done yet. And why he got this sudden urge to be a constitutionalist. It was mainly, like you say, just political to cover his own rear end.
Will you quit licking on me and scratching you, biting your butt? It tickles.
Get him, Blossie. Give him Shuggy. Give him Shuggy. And what are you bringing? Where'd you get that at, huh? Hey, my goodness. Well, I don't know. You know, I'm one shoe on and one shoe off my son John. That's where I'm sitting here. But folks, if you use a little common sense, rather than running to the doctor for a shot or a pill, every time something happens, you'll be a lot better off. The only reason I think you ought to call a doctor is to pronounce somebody dead. Unless you drink some tomato juice and you really want to ride in one of those vital care ambulances, then it's okay to call a doctor.
562-9370. You know, they're renaming the highway out here today.
That'll rename what?
They got a big camera crew down yonder. They're dedicating this stretch of highway to Ken Bruce out here today.
To who?
Ken Bruce.
Okay. Did you see the recent article on that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's something we had said all along, that the boy was somewhat, even though he didn't have no business having a gun in school, goaded into doing the shooting. They don't dare somebody that's got a gun.
Well, if that's true, that was foolish, wasn't it?
What? That was what?
If that was true, what that testimony says, them people are just foolish.
Yeah. Well, I understand he had confrontation after confrontation with that young man all the way up through...
Well, instead of him, I don't know where there's anything to that. That seems hard to believe to me.
Right.
But if that's true, instead of daring him, they should have just taken the gun and been done with it.
Well, especially before he put any bullets in.
Yeah, it was handled completely the wrong way. That right. I have trouble believing that. I don't believe them people was that stupid. They may have goaded him.
Well, you got to realize they were school administrators.
Well, yeah, that's true. But why would you tell a guy to take his gun out and dare him to load it?
And then dare him to shoot you?
Yeah, I got a little trouble believing that. But then I ain't on the jury, and I ain't going to be either.
I ain't either.
It says here, a Texas father will not face murder charges for killing a man with his own bare hands after he discovered the suspect raping his 5-year-old daughter in a remote barn.
I hope not. I hope they wouldn't do anything to him. They'd need to give him a medal.
He beat old Jesus Mora to death. Jesus Mora Flores, 47.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really do. There's a few of them around here that need to be torn from limb to limb. But you never know until you come down to Bob's Salvage and Surplus exactly what you're going to find. I got some real beautiful beds, folks. Queen size, half beds, bunk beds. I got a couple of nice mattresses too. Used mattresses are real hard to come by. And I think I got me a little insight into how to come up with some. And I was down at the flea market, not this past Friday, but Friday a week ago. And some fella had a load of new mattresses down there. And he had a little half bed mattress. I said, how much you get for that mattress? He said, $300.
That must have been one of them adjustable kind.
No, it was not one of those sleep by the number beds. It was just a regular. I don't even know what it was, a pillow top or not. It could have been a pillow top. I was so amazed at the price that I really really didn't bother to look it over because it wouldn't have done me any good. But folks, if you can find a good used mattress at a reasonable price, you better buy it. They're getting scarce. And you know, they always keep saying they gonna require that you recondition them and this, that, and that before you can sell them. Well, then they're gonna have to make all the motels every night take their mattress out and recondition it.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing, a lot of times you pay $75 to $100 a night for sleep on a mattress that everybody slept on since George Washington. And, no difference between whether you sleep on one and pay to sleep on it or whether you buy it. And
Sarah Palin says, so we're going to bomb Syria because Syria is bombing Syria, and they think I'm the idiot.
tell them, Sarah. Yeah, I would just pass a resolution and say we are not condoning any action that you might take. But this is your baby. You gave birth to it. Now
We don't
do
even
what
make people take care of their own young'uns here. You know that ain't going to happen.
Right, exactly right. Come on, baby. All right. Now look this way if you want to look into the camera. There you go, right up here. See? Okay. Now smile. And how much longer we got?
Oh, we've got as much as you want, or 19 minutes, whichever you want to do.
Right, okay.
We can talk for 19 minutes, or we can hush and let them go do something important.
There you go. You know, did you watch any of the fireworks last night?
No.
It was short-lived. It wasn't a very long fireworks presentation.
I was at home.
Yeah. Well, me and the babies, we watched a little bit of it.
Many people around here?
Huh?
Is there many people around here, or was they all down the road?
No, there wasn't very many around here.
Ike was going back to school last night, and he stopped down at Burger King and watched some of it. I think.
Did he? Yeah, it was right pretty, you know, and I've seen so many fireworks displays, you know. I'm not really all that enthralled by watching them or hearing them, and that's the only advantage I got by not having my hearing aid in. I didn't have to listen to them too good.
I had a discussion with a guy today that really thinks that, or the impression I got, all the problems are corporate problems, and you ain't got no business running a business unless you're there to provide jobs for people.
That's what he felt.
Yeah.
Well, that's what really now. That is, a lot of people feel that way. They feel that businesses, whether it be a small business like mine and yours, or whether it be a big business, they think the only reason D. Roosevelt opens up is so it can hire people.
Well, you know, I have provided jobs for people for years, and I've never had but one person that ever made me money. They always, the only reason I hired them was because I had more business than I could take care of, and I could put some of the load on them. But I was lucky if they managed to even make enough to pay their own way. But the other thing is, by hiring them, they didn't bring in any new business. They just took some of my load off.
Right.
I've only had one person that ever actually brought in business, actually done something that made me better off than I would have had never seen them.
Right.
And I don't understand why I owe people a job. I don't think I do. There ain't nobody owes me nothing. And another thing is, I can't figure out what the government has ever done and done it better than an independent owner could do. You take the ambulance service for an example. If the government is so good at everything, then we ought to just give everything to them and let them keep us up. But you know as well as I know that it ain't going to happen. If you can do it with 3 people, the government will hire 6 and give 2 of them a bonus for showing up. Right. And we'll be worse off and have to wait in line to get it done. Ain't nothing slower than government.
Right.
They'll make everything as complicated as they can.
Yeah, now you know the slowest thing in the world, don't you?
A snail eating molasses?
No. It's a Tennessee funeral with one set of jumper cables.
That could be. Or, well, I can see how that would really slow down progress.
I'm just kidding about that. You know.
I'm still wondering why I owe somebody a job.
But
I asked
businesses,
him how many
whether it be General Electric, or whether it be General Motors, or whether it be Delta Airlines, or whoever it might be, they're not in business to hire people to build. I mean, they didn't go in business so they could hire people to build automobiles. They didn't go in business so they could hire pilots to fly airplanes and hire stewardess, which is nothing but a waitress at 30,000 feet. That's all a stewardess is. They went in business to make money for their investors. Now, that is never taught in our public schools.
Well, he got on the merger thing too, and you know I didn't get that far into it with him, but the biggest monopoly, the most notorious monopoly of all time was Standard Oil.
Yeah.
But you know that when Standard Oil went into the petroleum business, they didn't make no money selling gasoline because there wasn't no use for it. It was just in the way. They made their money selling kerosene.
10 cents a gallon.
And got it down to a nickel.
Yeah.
But Rockefeller put people out of business. Rockefeller controlled it all the way, every aspect of his business, the trains and everything else. He'd done that. It was awful to be in business in competition with Rockefeller. But the people were actually better off because the price of kerosene went way, way, way down. The people were much better off. And that's what I say about Walmart. The only problem I've ever had with Walmart is and I can't blame them for doing it because it's there, but they'll take seed money off the taxpayers and gives them an unfair competition against people who've had to pay taxes all along. But Walmart, they have provided a better selection of cheaper priced goods than anybody ever did, and that's why they've done well.
Yeah, they have.
And when you get right down to it, they operate on less than 5% markup, and the government gets 9 1/4 in this state every time Walmart sells something.
Right. Yeah, and they make 9 and 0.4526, something I guess what it is, almost 9.5 cents for every dollar that's sold.
And I asked him, I said, he's talking about health care, and I said, well, do you think it ought to be free? And he said, well, yeah, the poor people can't afford it. And I said, okay, what do you think that the people that are providing this ought to do? I said, what do you do for a living? And he told me, and I said, well, do you want to do that for free? And he said, well, I have done that sometimes. I know. I said, I don't want you to tell me what you sometimes did. I said, how much of that do you want to do free? And how much time do you want to dedicate for free stuff to people that need it? And he was something involved, I'll tell you later, but it's something involved with health care so that he could actually have contributed. He could have given his time and just spent all his time in doing that and helped out people that really need the help. But he thought he ought to be paid for doing that. And I don't understand why he would want to be paid and you shouldn't pay a doctor for doing it. Then it's, well, they're getting rich. Well, okay, and then he's telling me that there wasn't no opportunities now, and because corporate America had captured everything, and I said there's more opportunities right now to get rich than there's ever been. And if the government, I didn't get around to that, but if the government would get out of it, we'd all be rich if it had any gumption and get out there and try to work. But there is more opportunities now than
Sure
there
there is.
been.
I wish I was back in my 40s or even 50s, you know.
I mean, he said that there wasn't anything, the innovation was gone, we'd done everything now. And I said, yeah, in 1898, and I don't know for sure about the date. I said, 1898,
they were going to close
the guy over the patent office said, we ought to close up everything done been invented it's going to be.
Right.
And I said, but he was wrong. Yeah, he's crazy. I said, and it's crazy to think everything's that way now, too.
Right.
Really, there is. There's more opportunities now than there's ever been.
Sure there is, yeah. You take like these kids recently that started Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this old boy that bought the Phoenix Sun basketball, he was a silicone king out, and he just unloaded all of his stock and everything, and bought him a basketball franchise.
Well, the thing about it is, if you want to accomplish something, you can. And I don't. He said the middle class is disappearing. I said, yeah, they're all getting into the upper class right now. The what we consider poverty level are better off than the people in my age group and yours when we were doing well. We thought.
Right.
We didn't have air conditioning. We didn't have running water. They just got electricity a year before I was born.
Didn't have cell phones to worry me to
No,
death.
didn't have television when I was born. Didn't have telephones. We didn't have none of that stuff. And right now, you can't find anybody in this town that the government ain't at least giving them that much.
Right. You got, well, now I went down and I thought how nice it was. This is an elderly woman, you know. When I say she's elderly, probably not compared to me. She's probably in her 60s, you know.
I ain't elderly, and I'm in my 60s.
She's in fairly good health, but she has a housing apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps it neat and nice and clean as a pin, you know. Everything's real nice, and she took enough money out of her, what check she draws to get pay down on. She didn't pay me. She paying on a washer and a dryer, and it kind of makes you feel good to see people like that being helped. But I asked myself, I said, wonder if this woman has ever worked public work in her life. And being from here in Campbell County, probably not, because there's not enough public jobs to be held. She has to do like everybody else does. They have to barter, they have to trade, they have to steal, they have to deal in things that are shady and illegal. And you know, when I said I wish I were younger, would everybody run around with their head so screwed up on pot, so messed up with pills or alcohol or other drugs? There's no reason in the world that a young man, if he keep his head screwed on straight, couldn't make a fortune off these people.
Well, I know it. I have had opportunities. In fact, I see opportunities. I'm going to tell you what. The internet has offered us so many opportunities, and and that's the reason that I've kind of slacked off on UGG TV. But it's there. There's a fortune to be made, and you can start at the ground level right now. But I'm too old to do something. But I ain't got no point to. But I mean, I want to keep doing it. But to get out there and dig and build it, you could build it over the course of 4 or 5 years, and have your own great little company going. But to say that there's no opportunity, that's just not right.
No, it's not. It's not good. You know, and people are still going to have all the basic needs that they've had since time immemorial. Of course, a lot of it is being provided by government now, you know, and you got to be somebody's relative in order to get in on the revenue that's produced by it. So, you know, they make it very, very difficult to get your house, say, put on Section 8 qualifications. If you're going to make any money, say, in the produce business, say if I want to go in the produce business, I would have to take food stamps. Because ain't nobody got no money to buy groceries anymore except on food stamps.
Yeah, I know it.
And very few people have money to buy. I see some people riding around some mighty fine automobiles and dressed very nice that have food stamps. And, I think they ought to do away with food stamps, period.
I think that if they're going to have any food assistance, that it ought to be in the form of food stamps like they used to have, where you got to go in there and count them out and do all that. That's too easy just to swipe a card.
Right.
And I don't know.
Well, I said back in the past one time, and if you remember when I told them, I thought that since most people who got food stamps, most people, not all people, don't work. And most people who get food stamps stay at home. And most people who get food stamps have time to prepare their meals. So and we went over this several years ago, and said I thought they ought to get flour and salt and pepper and sugar and dried beans and things of that nature where they could prepare it themselves. And you remember who the first woman was that called me?
You don't remember?
She was a blind woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, I can't prepare food and everything because I'm blind. I said, I wasn't talking about you. You can make exceptions for people like that. But the ordinary people who've got nothing to do but ride up and down Jacksboro
Well, now, wait
Pike.
a minute. Couldn't she cook just as easy as she could warm?
No, she probably could tear open a package and stick it in the microwave.
Well, I don't have any problem at all helping people like that anyway.
I don't either.
But the other thing is, I think that you should have, if you're able to do anything, if it ain't nothing but except just pick the cans up in front of your house that people throw out on the road. Just de-litter the road for 300 feet one way or the other. If that's all you can do, you ought to have to do that. I think you ought to have to work. If there's anything you can do, you ought to have to contribute some effort in order.
So. I fully agree with that. Now, I also
The goats has got some of the dogs in them, ain't they?
Also, if you remember, I told them that I felt like all of your disabled parking spaces should be at the back of the parking lot. Because most of the people that are disabled, I didn't say all, who are disabled because they don't exercise.
Well, a lot of the disabled people have a driver too. They could have a driver. They could let them out and then drive back and go get them too.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can do that. You got to unloading wheelchair and that sort of thing. But so many people, and I mentioned this before, I'm gonna say it again, probably getting just as much trouble. They park and fight you to get just as close as they can so they don't have to walk any at all. And then they waddle up to the drink machine and get them a high sugar, high carbonated drink, and so they have that on to suck on while they're going around and getting all them Twinkies and everything. You know, you can buy Twinkies and candy bars or whatever you want on your food stamps now, and I don't think that it should be that way.
I think you can even eat in restaurants on food stamps, can't you?
I don't think that's probably, no, you can't get hot food.
Now, I saw somewhere where you could buy something in a restaurant.
Right, get down. Get in Ronnie's lap. There you go. So we got
No, that's right. We're going to have to go anyway. Tune in tomorrow night, folks. Channel 12, and watch. We'll have this on YouTube later on. We'll have it up for you.
I'll see how many people I can insult tomorrow night.
Cards and letters go to Bob. Call me and I'll give you his address. You can't keep up with his phone number.